Hello everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel Unfog with Dr. Atahar Parveen. Till now we have solved many previous year questions. We have solved questions from previous year TETs like Karnataka TET and CTET. We have also solved question papers from the high school teacher recruitment, the last recruitment which was in 2015. We have solved that question paper. We have also solved a question paper of a CRISE that we had given to the paid class aspirants, and we have solved many such papers, and we have come to some conclusions depending upon our experience. Like many competitive exams which are based on teacher recruitment, that is TET, HSTR, GPSTR, etc., they follow some similar syllabus and pattern, right? Not exactly same, but some topics are there in all the exams. So questions are often repeated or they are slightly modified from school level exams like SSLC. Like for example, we have seen similar pattern questions in HSTR 2015 and in a CRISE paper of similar time. I mean, even CRISE was conducted around same time. So we have seen similar questions there. And also we have seen many questions from SSLC which were asked in TET. So mathematics and reasoning based exams are actually relying on fundamental concepts, right? So the question paper setter for the competitive exam, he or she usually refer to previous year papers from school boards like SSLC and PUC, and they may even pick directly or they may also slightly modify the SSLC level questions. Actually, they want to test real world teaching skills in teacher aspirants, right? For teacher recruitment exams like TET, HSTR and GPSTR, it's very logical to include school level questions, right? Because they want to check whether the aspiring teachers are familiar with the syllabus they are going to teach after they will get selected in the exam, right? And also they want to test the speed and accuracy of the aspirants in the competitive exam. That's why they often repeat the known questions to test how fast the aspirant can solve them. Not only it is about knowing the answer, but how fast the aspirant can solve that particular familiar question under pressure, right? So if a question paper in SSLC and a competitive exam is conducted in the same year, most likely, because the syllabus overlaps, the question paper setter will refer to the same sources. And of course, the fundamental concepts remain same. So that's why we are going to solve the SSLC mathematics question paper, and this is a final exam question paper of this year. Actually now SSLC exams are going on, right? So I think on 24th March mathematics exam was conducted for SSLC students, and this was the question paper given to the students. Okay, so this is a SSLC 2025 mathematics question paper from Karnataka, and we are going to solve this question paper in this video. We are going to solve till the end, and we are going to discuss each and every answer in detail, so that our discussion will help you in preparing for your competitive exam. Now we are expecting TET notification very soon, right? So if you are a TET aspirant, or if you are a teacher recruitment aspirant, you are preparing for HSTR, GPSTR or CRISE, then also this class is going to be very useful for you, because this question paper will give you an idea about the pattern of the questions which may come in your exam. Okay, so please subscribe to our channel if you have not subscribed still, and also please click the like button if you are liking our work, and share our videos among other aspirants and your friends, because your response will help us in making more such videos. Okay, so without wasting time, let us start to solve the question paper. Now this is the first main question. Here there are 8 multiple choice questions. Each question carries 1 mark. So let us see these questions. First question, LCM of 2 and 3 is, see, 2 and 3, we have to find out LCM, means 2 is a prime number, right? Like that only 3 is also a prime number, right? Now already if you have prime numbers, what is the use for you to do prime factorization? In fact, you cannot do prime factorization there, right? So simply what you have to do is, you have to multiply the two numbers to find out the LCM. Those two numbers are 2 and 3. If you multiply 2 and 3, you will get 6. So option D will be the correct answer here. Next question. If the lines represented by equations a1x plus b1y plus c1 is equal to 0 and a2x plus b2y plus c2 is equal to 0 are coincident, then the correct relation is, see, if the lines are intersecting, there is one relation. If the lines are coincident, then there is one relation. It also relates to how many solutions does the given pair of equations have. Okay, so here the criterion to find out that the given lines are coincident is a1 by a2 is equal to b1 by b2 is equal to c1 by c2. Like that only we can also find out how many roots or how many zeros are there for that particular group of equations. Okay. Next, question number 3. The quadratic equation in the following is, see here, quadratic equation will always be in the form ax square plus bx plus c is equal to 0. You have to match the given options with this equation. Now this is not, even this is not, even this is not, this is a polynomial, right? This is a quadratic equation. So option D, x square plus 3x plus 4 is equal to 0. That will be your correct answer. Okay. Next, question number 4. In the following, the shapes which are always similar are, so you have to see the options. You have to find out which are the shapes which are always similar. Here they are telling any two equilateral triangles, here square and rectangle, here square and rhombus, here any two trapezium. Trapezium though will not be there because trapezium can be of any shape, just 4 sides should be there, right? Then square and rhombus also cannot be similar because in rhombus all sides are not equal, in square all sides are equal. Even in a square and rectangular also you can't say that they are similar because in rectangle opposite sides are equal, in square all sides are equal. Remaining is option A, any two equilateral triangles, because equilateral triangles will always have 60 degree in all the three angles and all the sides will be equal. If you draw another equilateral triangle also, you have to draw it in the same manner where the angles will be 60 degree and all sides will be equal, right? So that's why option A will be the correct answer here. Next, question number 5. The volume of a sphere of radius r units is, so what is the volume of the sphere? We have always been telling to aspirants that you should have a list of formulae relating to all the topics in mathematics, specifically the mensuration part. Okay, so volume of a sphere is 4 by 3 pi r cube cubic units. Okay, like that only you should know what is the area of a sphere, then what is the volume of a hemisphere, what is the area of a hemisphere, and so on. It is better you should know everything. Don't think that it is very easy, we will not learn. In exam, sometimes easy things also we make mistake and our answer goes wrong. Okay. Next, question number 6. The distance of a point P x comma y from the origin is, see, there is a origin with coordinates 0, 0. There is another point P with coordinates x and y. They are telling us to find out the distance between the origin and that P. Here we have to apply the distance formula. We have the distance formula is equal to square root of x1 minus x2 whole square plus y1 minus y2 whole square, where x1, y1 are the coordinates of one point, x2, y2 are the coordinates of another point. Now here if you just substitute the values of x1 and y1, you will clearly get the answer square root of x square plus y square. So the smartness is that not only you have to remember the distance formula, better you also know that if a point is away from the origin, then the distance between origin and that particular point P will always be square root of x square plus y square. Okay. If you are a aspirant from our TET paid classes, then what all we have solved till now will be very, very easy for you because we have done all this in our basic regular classes only, right? And if you are a aspirant from our HSTR or GPSTR paid classes, then though you will be smiling because these are too easy questions for you all. But it's always better to start from basic, and it's always good to know all type of question papers, especially from Karnataka. That too, we always prefer SSLC question paper because it is properly included in all the syllabus for maths, right? Even for HSTR, for GPSTR and TET. Okay. Okay, then moving on for our next question. The common difference of the arithmetic progression -1, -3, -5 and so on. So for a arithmetic progression, we have a common difference which is equal to A2 minus A1 or A3 minus A2, right? What is A1, A2? These are the series, right? The progression, if I write it like this, till AN it will go, then my common difference will be this. Now I have the numbers where A1 is -1, A2 is -3, then A3 will be -5. So I can now easily find out the common difference, right? What is A2? -3. Minus what is A1? -1. -3 minus of -1 will be -3 plus 1, which will be -2. So option C will be the correct answer here. Next, question number 8. In the given figure, O is the center of the circle and the length of the arc APB is 4 pi centimeter. If OB is equal to 9 centimeter, then measure the angle theta is. So we have to find out this angle theta. They have given 9 centimeter for OB, but OA is also a radius, right? For a circle, the radius will have the same value, right? Now they are giving the arc APB value also, which is 4 pi centimeter. Now the length of the arc is equal to R into theta. They are telling us to find out theta. So theta will be equal to L upon R. So here it's very important for us to know the formula. L is equal to R theta, right? So that's why we always tell you all to have a list of formulae. Now this theta is equal to length of arc is 4 pi. What is radius? It is 9. But this is in radians. They are asking us in degree. See the options? In degree it is, right? So I will have to convert. How do you convert? Pi value is 180 degree upon 9. So 9 ones are 920s are. So our theta value will be equal to 80 degree. Option B will be the correct answer. Okay, always if you want to convert radians into degree, you have to write the value of pi, which is 180 degree. Then you will get the answer. Okay. Now those 8 questions are done with the multiple choice ones. Now next main question number 2. In this also there are 1 mark questions, but they are descriptive questions, not multiple choice questions. Okay. See, don't worry whether the questions are multiple choice questions or descriptive questions. For your competitive exam, they can ask any type of descriptive question by converting it into MCQ. They can ask any MCQ by converting it into descriptive, especially for GPSTR aspirants I am telling, because you should know even descriptive type also and MCQs also. All other exams like TET, HSTR and CRIS, you all should prepare for only multiple choice questions. So even very big 4 mark question also, they can convert in a MCQ and ask you, right? For you, it will take so much time only to solve the problem because it will be a lengthy question, but that is a multiple choice question. So you have to be prepared for all type of tough questions and lengthy questions also. Okay. So coming back, question number 9. Write the degree of a linear polynomial. For a linear polynomial, it will be ax plus b, right? So what is the degree here? Degree is 1 for x, right? So answer here is 1. What about quadratic polynomial? It will be ax square plus bx plus c is equal to 0, right? So degree will be 2. What is degree here? Degree is the highest power of the variable, because x is a variable here. A, B, C are constants, whereas x is a variable. So what is the highest power of the variable will give you the degree of that particular polynomial. For a linear polynomial, x power will always be 1. That is the maximum power. Here x power is 0, right? X to the power 0 is 1. Okay. Next, Write the formula to find the total surface area of a cube of edge A units. See, we have a square, right? For a square, if you want to view it in a 3D version, you write it like this, right? So the 3D version of a square is actually a cube, right? Square is a 2D. It's a 2D view, whereas cube is a 3D shape, right? Now this cube is having 6 faces. What was the surface area for a square? It is a square, right? Like that for cube we have such 6 faces, right? So what should be the surface area for a cube? It will be 6a square, right? So that will be our answer here. Okay. Next, question number 11. In the given frequency distribution table, write the modal class. So what is the frequency distribution here and what is the class interval? I will write it for you again. See, class interval is 1 to 3, 3 to 5, 5 to 7 and 7 to 9. What is the corresponding frequency given here? 4, 8, 2, 2. Now what is a modal class? Modal class is a such class interval corresponding to maximum frequency. So what is the maximum frequency here in 4, 8, 2 and 2? 8 is a maximum frequency, right? What is the corresponding class interval for that frequency? It is 3 to 5, right? So that 3 to 5 is a modal class. That is the answer here. Okay, clear, right? Next, question number 12. Write the probability of an impossible event. Impossible event means that event is not going to happen at all. If the event is only not happening, what is the role of probability? Actually, what is probability? Probability is what are the chances for the event to happen. In what ways that event can happen. Right? All that story we understand with the probability. Now, it is an impossible event. It is not going to happen at all. So, probability chance is not there here. We call that there is no probability. So, probability is 0 here. Okay. Next, question number 13. How many solutions do the pair of linear equations? See, I will write it for you. 2x plus 3y minus 9 is equal to 0 and 3x plus 2y minus 6 is equal to 0. These two pair of linear equations they have given in the question. We have to find out how many solutions are there. For that we do a1 by a2, b1 by b2, c1 by c2. Then we see if all are equal means 2 solutions will be there. If only one is equal, only 2 are equal means one unique solution will be there. Okay. So what is a1? See, this is a1, b1, c1, a2, b2, c2. Right, this is A2. Okay, so A1, 2, A2, 3, B1, 3, B2, 2, C1, minus 9, C2, minus 6. So this will become 3 by 2. So this 3 by 2 and this 3 by 2 are same. That means B1 by B2 is equal to C1 by C2. Means one group is same. That means this group of linear equations are having unique solution. Okay, one solution. Okay. Next, question number 14. The question is, write the zeros of the polynomial y is equal to px in the given graph. It is very simple. What are zeros? Zeros means nothing but roots. Don't get confused with the terms. Both are same. Like a quadratic equation has a roots. A linear pair of equations, it is also having some value for x, right? So those roots we call it as zeros. Okay. Now here they are telling for y is equal to px for this curve, how many zeros are there? It is very simple. See where x is cutting the curve. How many times it is cutting? X line, the x axis is cutting the curve 2 times. 1 time, 2 times. So 2 zeros are there. Now what are the zeros if they ask? At that time you can find out the values where the curve is cutting the x-axis and you can write those numbers. They will be the zeros or roots for that particular polynomial. Okay. So how many zeros are there here? 2 zeros are there. Okay. Next, question number 15. Write the roots of quadratic equation x into x plus 2 is equal to 0. Clearly here, either x is equal to 0 or x plus 2 is equal to 0. So with this, x is equal to 0 and x is equal to minus 2. These are the roots of the quadratic equation x into x plus 2. Okay. Next, question number 16. In the given figure, write the similarity criterion used to show that triangle ABC is similar to triangle QRP. So here the similarity criterion will be that we will be taking the ratios of the corresponding sides. If the values of the ratios of the corresponding sides will be same, then we say that those two triangles are similar. Now here you have to find out the proper numerators and denominators for one group of ratio. Then only you will get correct answer. Obviously, right? So here if I do 2 by 4, I'll get half. Then if I do 3 by 6, I'll get half. Then if I do 2.5 by 5, I'll get half. That means these two are similar triangles. So what you have to do for the ratios now to write the similarity criterion? You have to write AB by QR. This should be equal to AC by PQ. This should be equal to BC by PR. Right? So 2 by 4 is equal to 3 by 6. This is equal to 2.5 by 5. So you have half is equal to half is equal to half. So the ratio is same for both the triangles. If you see the corresponding sides, then you say that these are similar triangles. Okay, clear, right? So what is the similarity criterion here? This is the similarity criterion. Now 2 marks questions are started. The Roman number 3, the main question. Answer the following questions. See the question. In the given figure, angle ABC is equal to 90 degree. Write the values of following: sin alpha and tan theta. Here you have to understand that in one triangle only they have given alpha. In that triangle only they have given theta. So for theta, which is the opposite side? Opposite side will be BC. Which will be the adjacent side? Adjacent side will be AB, because the angle is attached to the adjacent side, right? Now for alpha, this will be adjacent side and this will be opposite side. Okay. Now they are asking sin alpha, right? So sin alpha means it should be opposite side by hypotenuse. What is opposite side value? It is for alpha 3. And what is hypotenuse? It will be same for alpha and theta, right? So it is 3 by 5. What about tan theta? For tan theta, opposite side will be BC, right? And the adjacent side will be AB, right? Because tan theta is equal to opposite side by adjacent side. So what is BC now? It is 4. What is AB? It is 3. So tan theta value will be 4 by 3. Okay. 1 mark for 1. Sin alpha 1 mark, tan theta 1 mark they are giving. Okay. Next, question number 18. Prove that 6 plus 2 is an irrational number. So you have to write and prove that it is an irrational number. How would you prove that? You have to first consider that it is a rational number. First considering that it is a rational number, then go on solving. Ultimately, you will land up proving that it is an irrational number. Okay. Consider that 6 plus root 2 is a rational number. Means it is a P by Q. Right, where Q is not equal to 0. With this, what will be the value of root 2? Root 2 value will be P by Q minus 6, right? But we know that root 2 is an irrational number, right? It is clearly an irrational number. Why? Because it is a square root of a non-perfect square, right? Square root of a non-perfect square. So it will be an irrational number only. How can an irrational number be equal to rational number? It cannot be possible, right? Now root 2 is irrational means it means that P by Q minus 6 is also irrational. Hence proved that entire thing 6 plus root 2 is irrational, because we have taken this equation by the given question only. Okay. Next, they have written or in between and they have given another question. The question is the HCF and LCM of two positive integers are respectively 4 and 60. If one of the integers is 20, then find the other integer. So now I think our Karnataka TET paid aspirants must be having a good smile, because till now all these are very basic questions which we have done, right? Okay. So HCF and LCM relation is there. See, actually HCF into LCM is equal to product of two numbers, right? Product of two numbers. What is HCF here in the question? 4, right? What is LCM? 60. What are the two numbers? One integer is 20. Another one we don't know. It is x. We have to find that x. So that x is equal to 4 into 60 by 20. So 2 ones are 2 threes are. So another integer will be 4 threes are 12. Right? So now I think our TET paid class aspirants must be having a big smile on their face, because till now what all we have solved in SSLC question paper is very, very basic with what we have done in our classes, right? Okay. Solve the pair of linear equations by elimination method. So you have to use elimination method and solve 2x plus y is equal to 10 and x minus y is equal to 2. In our competitive examination of teacher recruitments, it will not matter much in multiple choice questions, because any method we use, what would they know? They would want the correct answer in the multiple choice question. But if it is a descriptive question paper like GPSTR, then it will matter whether it is elimination method or any other method to find out the solution of the given linear equations. Okay. Elimination method means first you have to eliminate one thing and then get the answer. Then the second eliminated variable you can find out later, like this is. I will write and show you. So here plus y minus y will get cancelled. Here I have 3x, here I will have 12. So x will be equal to 4. Now I have eliminated y, right? Now I will find out the value of y once I have the value of x. X value is now 4, right? So now here I have x minus y is equal to 2, right? So minus y will be equal to 2 minus x, or minus y is equal to 2 minus 4, or minus y is equal to minus 2, or y is equal to 2. So this is our elimination method. First we have eliminated y, then we found x. Using this x, again we found the value of y, right? Okay. Next, find the roots of the quadratic equation x square plus 8x plus 12 is equal to 0. This is you have to do by factorization method. This is very simple, right? So x square plus 8x plus 12 is equal to 0. You have to do LCM and you have to understand that I have 6 2s are 12. So here I can split 8 as 6 and 2. So that I have 12 here again. Okay. So x into x plus 6, you have to do grouping, plus 2 into x plus 6 is equal to 0. With this I will get x plus 6 into x plus 2 is equal to 0. So I will get value x is equal to minus 6 and x is equal to minus 2. These are the two roots of the given quadratic equation. Okay, clear it? So this is known as a factorization method. Then they have written or in between, and then they are telling to find out the discriminant of the quadratic equation, x square plus 4x plus 5 is equal to 0. Then they are also asking us to write the nature of the roots. In order to find the discriminant, you have this quadratic equation, right? So the discriminant b square minus 4ac is equal to 0, right? So there is a list of rules, right? So if your b square minus 4ac value, either it is equal to 0 or greater than 0 or less than 0, that thing depends upon the roots. At that time we can find out what is the nature of the roots, right? So now I will not write 0 here. I will just write the values. What is the quadratic equation here? X square plus 4x plus 5 is equal to 0, right? So my a will be 1, b will be 4 and c will be 5 as per the given equation. So in place of b, I have to write 4 whole square minus 4 into a is 1, c is 5. So with that, my b square minus 4ac, that is discriminant, will be equal to 16 minus 20. So discriminant is minus 4, which is less than 0. So depending upon the discriminant value, we can find out the nature of the roots here. Actually, they will be negative, right? It is a negative root, right? So we can say that there are imaginary roots, but for SSLC level, we just say no roots, okay? Or you can say imaginary roots for your level, for the competitive exam level, okay? Next, question number 21. Find the sum of the first 20 terms of the arithmetic progression. So AP, how do you find out the sum of that n terms? Sn is equal to n by 2 into a plus n minus 1 into d, right? So here what is a? A will be 5. What will be d? Common difference, it will be 9 minus 5, right? So common difference will be 4. Then n, they are only telling first 20 terms. So S20 is equal to 20 by 2 into 5 plus n 20 minus 1. What is d? It is 4. So here we will have S20 is equal to 10. Inside we will have 5. 19 into 4. Sorry, this is 2a, right? So you have 2 into 5, right? So here you will have a 10, right? See, formula is very, very important. If we make mistakes like this means, then our answer will go wrong. We have to be very careful, okay? So inside you will have 86. 86 into 10 will be 860. So this will be our answer. That is the first 20 terms of this arithmetic progression is 860. Okay. Next, question number 22. In the given figure, PA and PB are tangents to the cube with center O. If PA is 4 centimeter and angle APO is 40 degree, then find the measure of angle AOB. So we have to find out this angle, right? Now AP and BP are tangents, right? That means this is 90 degree, right? This is also 90 degree, right? And because they are tangents, they will be equal also, right? AP will be equal to BP. So this will be 4 centimeter. So one part of the question is done, right? Length of PB is 4 centimeter. Now you have to find angle AOB, right? See, if I just take a triangle AOP, in that I have one angle 90 degree, one angle I have 40 degree, another angle if I find out, here they will be equal, right? This will be equal to this, right? So if I find out this angle, then I will have to do double. I'll get the entire angle AOB, right? So this I will subtract with 180 degree. So it will be 180 minus 90 plus 40. So this one will be 180 minus 130. So this will be my 50 degree. Now if this is 50 degree, then this one also will be 50 degree, right? So 50 plus 50 should give me 100 degree. Angle AOB is equal to 100 degree. If we want, we can verify also, because some of the angles of a quadrilateral is equal to 360 degree, right? Now here we have 100 plus 2 90s are there, right? Another one is 80, because here we have 40 plus 40, right? So it is 80. So this one will give us a 180 plus 80 will be equal to 360 degree. Okay, clear, right? Next, question number 23. According to fundamental theorem of arithmetic, if 40 is equal to x to the power y into z, then find the values of x, y and z. Here, just you have to do the LCM. If you take 40, go on doing LCM with the prime numbers. Okay, 2 20s are 40, again 2 10s are, then 2 5s are, right? Now, this 40 is equal to 2 to the power 3 into 5 to the power 1, right? Now here 40 is equal to x to the power y into z to the power 1, right? Now what is the value of x? Clearly if you compare, x value will be 2 and y value will be 3 and z value will be 1, right? So here clearly x is equal to 2, y is equal to 3 and z is equal to 5. Okay, sorry, z is equal to 5. Okay. Next, question number 24. If a 1, y, b 4, 3 and c x, 6 and d 3, 5 are the vertices of a parallelogram taken in an order, find the values of x and y. Here clearly you have to understand that the diagonals divide each other equally, right? So you can use midpoint formula here and you can find out the answer. Let us consider A, C. That one diagonal only has x and y as the coordinates, right? So here x1 plus y1 by 2, comma, x2 plus y2 by 2. What is x1, y1? Here let me write it here like this. And x2, y2, let me write it here like this. Okay. Now what is x1? It is 1. y1, it is y by 2, comma, what is x2? X, y2, 6 by 2. Now this is there in my left hand side. Okay. Now this midpoint formula is equal to the midpoint formula of diagonal BD, right? For BD, what will be the midpoint formula? For this, it will be x2, y2. Now just I will substitute, okay? I have to write 4 plus 3 by 2 and 3 plus 5 by 2, right? So this one will be 7 by 2 and this one will be 8 by 2, means 4. Now I have to compare the values of AC and BD. In the left hand side, I have 1 plus y by 2, comma, x plus 6 by 2. In the right hand side, I have 7 by 2, comma, 4. Right? Now, clearly I can find the answers, right? See, I have 1 plus y by 2 is equal to 7 by 2. I have x plus 6 by 2 is equal to 4. So, here I'll get y is equal to 6. And here I will get, if I 2 will go here, I will have x plus 6 is equal to 8 and x will be equal to 2. So x value is 2 and y value is 6. That is what the question is, right? You have to find the values of x and y, right? Next, 3 marks questions now. So the first question in that is question number 25. Find the zeros of quadratic polynomial px is equal to x square plus 7x plus 10 and verify the relationship between zeros and the coefficients. So you have to find the roots for the given equation x square plus 7x plus 10. Okay. You have to do factorization method. X square plus 5 2s are 10, right? So 5x plus 2x plus 10. Then you have x into x plus 5 plus 2 into x plus 5. With that, x value will be minus 5 and minus 2. Okay, minus 5 and minus 2. Now you have to find out the relationship between zeros and coefficients. For that, we have the relation, right? Alpha plus beta is equal to 1 value will be there. Alpha into beta will be equal to 1 value, right? They are the formulae, right? This one will be minus b by a and this one will be c by a. Now what are the roots? Alpha is minus 5. Alpha is minus 5 and beta is minus 2. So these are the roots we have found. Now I can clearly find out the ratios also, right? See, this is A, which is 1, B is 7, C is 10, right? So now alpha plus beta will be equal to minus 7 by 1 and alpha into beta, the product will be equal to 10 by A, that is 10 by 1, right? So this is the relation between both of them. If you want, you can verify and see alpha plus beta value minus 5, minus 2. So it will be minus 7. Alpha into beta, 5 2s are 10. That's it, right? Okay. So this is a 3 mark question. Because actually one factorization is there and 2 formulae are involved, right? Next question. Prove that the tangent at any point of a circle is perpendicular to the radius through the point of contact. So here they are telling that there is a circle which is having a tangent and the point of contact of the tangent and the circle, which will be here point A. If you draw a radius there, then that radius is always perpendicular to the point of contact of the tangent. That you have to prove. Okay. So in case if there is a tangent here, then this will be the point of contact, right? If you draw the radius here like this to this point of contact, then this will be 90 degree. Wherever the point of contact is, if there is a radius from the point of contact to the center of the circle, then it will be a perpendicular. That is the theorem you have to prove here. See, in order to prove that, you should just prove that OA is shorter than any line segment. Because see, if there is a line here, if you want to draw a perpendicular, then that perpendicular will be the shortest distance, right? See, like this. If you draw any other lines like this or like this, any other line will be long when you compare to this proper perpendicular. So taking this concept, here we have to prove that OA is the shortest line when you compare to any other line segment which you draw from the center of the circle. So if you draw a line OB which is coming from center of the circle and it is touching the tangent, but it is not touching the point of contact. Now easily you can prove that OA is less than OB, because OA is equal to OC and OC is actually a part of OB. OB minus BC, right? So clearly OB is greater than OA. So you are here proving that OA is the shortest line and perpendicular is the shortest line from the center of the circle, right? Because OA is the shortest line, therefore it is the perpendicular touching to the point of contact of the tangent and the circle. Okay, clear, right? Next question, this is also prove that, and there is a option here. You have to write any one question. That is how the question is framed here, okay? But we will discuss both the problems, because this question paper is giving us an idea about what type of questions will be coming in our competitive examinations in Karnataka, right? Okay, so the question is, prove that cos A by 1 plus sin A plus 1 plus sin A by cos A is equal to 2 times secant A. So here we should have few of the trigonometric identities like cos square A plus sin square A is equal to 1, right? So in that scenario, take the LCM in order to solve it further, okay? So I can multiply cos A into cos A. In the numerator, again I have to multiply 1 plus sin A into 1 plus sin A. And in the denominator, I will have 1 plus sin A into cos A. This I am taking left hand side. I will prove that this is equal to right hand side, which is a 2 times secant A. Okay. So here I have cos square A plus 1 into 1, right? So I can also write it directly. 1 plus sin A whole square. 1 plus sin A into cos A. Now clearly in the numerator I have cos square A plus sin square A plus, see actually I am splitting this. If I split it, I will get 1 square plus sin square A, right? 2 sin A. Okay, I am applying A plus B whole square formula. In the denominator again I will have 1 plus sin A into cos A. Right. Now cos square A plus sin square A is equal to 1 with our formula, right? Trigonometric formula. So I have 1 here, again 1 here, and 2 sin A is there. In the denominator, I have cos A into 1 plus sin A. Now clearly in the numerator, I have 2 here and 2 here. So I will take 2 outside. So I will have 1 plus sin A inside the bracket. In the denominator, I have cos A into 1 plus sin A. So this 1 plus sin A will get cancelled and I will have 2 by cos A or 2 times secant A, which is equal to the right hand side. Hence proved. Okay, clear, right? So here the first step you have to understand that you have to take LCM in order to proceed with the given equation in the left hand side here. Okay. Next optional question, find the value of 5 cos square 60 plus 4 secant square 30 minus tan square 45 divided by sin square 30 plus cos square 30. So here in order to solve this problem, you should be knowing the trigonometric table, right? The values you should be knowing, like for example, cos 30, it is root 3 by 2. Cos 60, it is 1 by 2. Like that only. Sin 30 will be 1 by 2. Sin 60 will be root 3 by 2. What about tan 45? It will be 1. Right? So if you know these values, just you have to substitute and find the answer to the given trigonometric problem. Okay? So just to substitute, go on substituting. 5 into cos 60 is a 1 by 2 whole square is there. Plus 4 into secant 30. What is secant? Secant is 1 by cos, right? So I have secant 30 means I have to take cos 30 and I have to do the reciprocal. It will be 2 by root 3 whole square minus tan 45. It is 1. Square is there, then also it will be 1 only, right? In the denominator, sin 30 1 by 2 whole square plus cos 30 root 3 by 2 whole square. That's it. Now you have to just to solve it. If you solve it, you will have 5 by 4 plus 4 into 4 by 3, right? Minus 1 divided by 1 by 4 plus 3 by 4. So here in the denominator, this thing will become 1, right? 1 by 4 plus 3 by 4 will become 1. In the numerator, I will have 5 by 4 plus 16 by 3 minus 1. Take LCM. So here you will have 15 plus 52 divided by 12. So this will give us 67 by 12. This will be our answer. Okay, clear, right? Next question. So these are all descriptive questions, but they can ask you in the form of multiple choice questions also. Okay, so you should not neglect any question from any important question paper thinking that it is a descriptive or thinking that it is a multiple choice. Okay, a question is a question. It can be converted into descriptive or it can be converted into multiple choice type. Okay. So the question is, in the given figure, O is the center of the circle of radius 21 centimeter. If angle AOB is 60 degree, then find the area of the segment APB. So here they are telling that square root of 3 value is there. It is 1.73. Here you have to understand that the area of this sector, what is the formula? Area of sector. Formula is theta by 360 into pi r square. So area of the sector AOB, area of sector AOB will be equal to, so here just substitute the values in the formula. Theta 60 degree divided by 360 into pi 22 by 7 into radius 21 into 21, right? So here 0 0 get cancelled, 6 1s are 6 6s are 7 1s are 7 3s are 3 1s are 3 2s are 2 1s are 2 11s are. So 21 into 11 is 231 square centimeter. Now I have the area of segment APB. If I take a area of segment APB, this is equal to area of sector AOB minus triangle ABO, right? So the shaded portion, area of segment APB, if you see the shaded portion, then that value will be equal to the entire sector minus that triangle value, right? And that is what I have to find here also. So sector AOB area just now I have found is 231 square centimeter minus, for triangle, this is a equilateral triangle because here it is a 60 degree, here also it will be 60 degree, here also it will be 60 degree. So area of equilateral triangle is root 3 by 4 into r square, right? So 231 minus root 3 by 4 into 21 into 21. So this will give me 231 minus root 3 value they have given in the question 1.73 divided by 4 into 21 into 21. So if you do all the calculations correctly, you should get 40.27 square centimeter. Okay, clear it? Next question. Find the coordinates of a point which divide the line segment joining the points -1, 7 and 4, minus 3 internally in the ratio 2:3. So this is all analytical geometry only, right? So this is a section formula question. So what is a section formula? Section formula gives you the concept about finding the coordinates when a line segment is divided internally or externally. Now internally means the formula you use is x comma y is equal to mx2 plus nx1 by m plus n and my2 plus ny1 by m plus n. The ratio 2:3 is given, right? So that ratio is m:n, right? So that is 2:3. And the coordinates, what are the coordinates? -1, 7, right? So this is our x1, y1. Like that only 4, -3, right? x2, y2. These are the coordinates. Okay. So that we will now just substitute. That is equal to m is 2, x2 is 4, plus n is 3, x1 is -1 divided by 2 plus 3. And then here again m is 2, y2 is -3, plus n is 3, y1 is 7 divided by 2 plus 3. So this will give us 8 minus 3 by 5 minus 6 plus 21 by 5. So this is giving us 5 by 5 and 15 by 5. So this is equal to 1, 3. These are the values of x and y. These are the coordinates here. Okay. Another question they have given as choice is also from the same analytical geometry only. The question is, find a relation between x and y such that the point x, y is equidistant from the points 3, 6 and -3, 4. So they are using this word equidistant. Equidistance means you can say that the distance formula which you are applying is applicable for both and they are equal to each other. So the relation between x and y we have to find here. Okay. There are 2 points like this. 3, 6 minus 3, 4. Okay. These are the 2 points. Now these 2 points are equidistant from one point x, y like this. Okay. So here if this point is a P, this is A and this is B. So here clearly AP is equal to BP. Now because this AP is equal to BP, I will use the distance formula here, right, like this. So I have x2 minus x1 whole square plus y2 minus y1 whole square, and this is also equal to square root of x2 minus x1 whole square plus y2 minus y1 whole square, right? For AP, I'll write it here. For AP, what are the coordinates? 3, 6 and x, y. For BP, the coordinates are -3, 4 and x, y. Right? So treat this as x1, y1 and this as x2, y2. Like that only x1, y1, x2, y2. Just to go on substituting. For AP, x2 is x, x1 is 3 whole square plus y2 is y and y1 is 6. This is equal to square root of, for BP, x2 is x, x1 is -3. So minus of minus will be +3 plus y2 is y, y1 is 4 whole square. So just you have to do squaring both sides to make things easy, so that you get x minus 3 whole square plus y minus 6 whole square is equal to x plus 3 whole square plus y minus 4 whole square. If you go on doing this simplification, that is if you apply a minus b whole square and a plus b whole square formula wherever needed, and then you expand, then after expanding you will get this equation, minus 12x minus 4y plus 20 is equal to 0. Then you have to divide minus 4 both sides, so that you will get this equation, 3x plus y is equal to 5. So this is the relation between x and y. Okay, so the simplification part I am giving you as homework. If you don't get it, please ask in the comment section or in the Telegram group. Okay, simplification is homework part. I have already solved it, so I have written the equation directly here. Okay. Next, question number 30. This is from statistics. The question is, find the mean for the following data. They have given class interval, they have given frequency. We have to find out mean. So the mean we have is x bar. Formula will be summation fx by n. Right. Now what is this n? N is the total numbers you add in the frequency. So if you add up here, you will get n. It is a 5 plus 5 10 and this should come 20. Okay. Then we can also find out the midpoint of the class interval, so that we can find our final frequency fx, right? So I will write fx here. So like this I will write it for you. Let me write midpoint first. Here I will write midpoint of the class interval. We call it as x, right? So what is the midpoint of the class interval? First one, 10 to 20 is there, right? For 10 to 20 the midpoint will be 15, right? So I will write 15 here. For 20 to 30 it will be 25. For 30 to 40 it will be 35, 45. For 50 to 60 it will be 55, right? Now I can easily find out the x value, right? How do you find x value? You have to do multiplication with frequency and the midpoint x. If you do the multiplication, you will get fx here. So here it will be 30, here it will be 75, then here it should be around 210, and 45 5s will be 225, and 55 4 times means 220. Now this will give me summation fx. So summation fx, you have to add it up. If you add, you will get 760. Now easily you can find the mean value. So the mean value is summation fx by n. So this one will be 760 by 20. So mean value is 38. Okay. In this question only they are given another optional question, and they are telling to find out the median for this following data. Okay. So to find out the median, what we have to do is we need to find out the cumulative frequency, right? So to find out the cumulative frequency, what we do, we just add up, right? We add 4 and 5, we get 9. Then this 9 we add to 10, we will get 19. Then this 19 you add to 5, you will get 24. Then this 24 you add to 6, you will get 30. This will be our cumulative frequency, right? Now in order to find the median, the formula is this, where L is the lower boundary of the median class, N will be the total frequency. So first to find out the total frequency, N will be 30 here also. Then cumulative frequency, it will be the value of the cumulative frequency just before the median class. Now which is the median class here? The median class will be 19, right? So this one will be the median class corresponding to the middle data, right? So just before the median class, the cumulative frequency is 9. So here cumulative frequency will become 9. And then F is the frequency of the median class. The median class is this only, as I already told you, so F will be 10. And H is the class width. The class width is 5. If you see here, the difference is 5. So that will be our H. Now I can easily find out median just by substituting the values, right? So here I have to write 25 because that is the lower value of the median class interval, right? So that will be 25 plus n by 2. N by 2 will be 15, right? So I will write 15 here, minus cumulative frequency is 9 by what is the frequency of the median class F? It is 10, right? Into H, class width. So I have 25 plus, here I will have a 6 by 10 into 5. So this one will be 5 ones are, 5 twos are, 2 ones are, 2 threes are, 28. Median is 28. Okay, clear, right? Next, this is a probability question. A box contains 20 cards numbered from 1 to 20. One card is drawn randomly from the box. Find the probability of getting a card bearing a perfect square number, a number which is divisible by 2 and 3. So first one is a perfect square number. Perfect square number means it will be 1, 4, 9, 16. Within 20 we want, right? Now, how many cards are there? 1 to 20, right? So what will be our sample space? Our sample space will be 20, right? Now here, how many cards will be there with perfect squares? 1, 2, 3, 4. So what will be our number of events? 4, right? So what is the probability of any event? That is equal to number of events by number of the sample space. So I have 4 by 20 or 1 by 5. Now second question, we have to find a number which is divisible by both 2 and 3. So a number which is divisible by both 2 and 3 within 20 means that is a 6, 12 and 18 only, right? So now how many events? Now it became 3. What was our sample space? 20. So what will be the probability of that event? It will be number of events by number of sample space. It is 3 by 20. Okay, clear, right? Next question. The difference between the altitude and base of a right angled triangle is 5 cm. If the area of the triangle is 150 cm square, then find the base and altitude of the triangle. So here let the base of the triangle be x because they have not given, right? So base of the triangle, let base be x. And then in that case, what will be height? Height or altitude? That should be equal to 5 plus x, right? Because the difference between altitude and base is 5 cm, right? They are telling that the difference between altitude and base is 5 cm. So that's why height should be 5 plus x. Area, they are telling area of a triangle is equal to 150 centimeter square. They are given in the question. Now we know that the area of a triangle is equal to half into base into height, right? So this should be equal to 150, right? So that I will write it again here, half into my base I don't know is x, height I know now which is 5 plus x. This is equal to 150. Now things become easy for me because I can calculate, I can simplify now, right? So I have x into 5 plus x is equal to 300, or 5x plus x square is equal to 300, or I can also write it as a quadratic equation like this. I can rewrite this is equal to 0. So if I take the LCM of 300, I will understand that 15 into 20 is 300. So that's why x square plus 20x minus 15x minus 300 is equal to 0. I can further do grouping and I can find the values of x which will come out to be minus 20 and 15, right? So the positive base of a triangle will be there, right? So it is 15 centimeter. Base cannot be negative or positive in that case. So I can take x as 15. If I take x as 15, then what will be my height? Height will be equal to 5 plus x, right? So 5 plus 15. So height will be equal to 20 centimeter. Okay. So base is 15 and height is 20 centimeter. Okay, clear, right? So they have given another question as option, that also we will solve. The question is, the sum of squares of two consecutive even positive integers is 164. Find the integers. Okay. So here they have given that the sum of squares of two consecutive positive integers. Consecutive means x and x plus 2. Now we have to do square of those two, and they are telling sum, so that's why I'll put plus inside this. Okay, so this thing is entirely equal to 164 they are telling, and we have to find the integers. First I will find x, then whatever number I get I will add 2. That will be the consecutive next even number, right? So here this will be equal to x square plus, apply x plus b whole square, I mean a plus b whole square formula, plus 4 plus 2x equal to 164, or 2x square plus 4 plus 2x minus 164 is equal to 0. So this is equal to 2x square plus 2x minus 160 is equal to 0. Now I can easily divide the entire equation by 2 so that I get x square plus x minus 80 is equal to 0. So here I can write it as a x square plus 10x minus 8x minus 80 is equal to 0. Then I can do grouping. I can write x into x plus 10 minus 8 into x plus 10, right? So this is equal to 0. So my values of x will be 8 and minus 10. They are telling that it is a even positive integer. So this is a negative thing, so I will not take it. So I have x is equal to 8 and another number will be x plus 2. So that will be 10. These are the two positive consecutive even integers. Okay. Next, question number 33. The two line segments AB and CD intersect each other at a point O. Join AC and BD such that AC is parallel to BD and prove that triangle AOC is similar to triangle BOD. This is actually a theorem where you have to prove that the two triangles AOC and BOD are similar to each other. So this triangle and this triangle. We have to apply the simple concepts here between the two parallel lines. We know that here angle AOC will be equal to angle BOD because these are the vertically opposite angles as they are in between the two parallel lines BC and AD. Then we have another two angles, this angle and this angle. They are alternate angles, right? So with this thing only we have that two angles are same. Two angles, if they are same, means you can say that they are similar angles. There are many criterion, right? There should be two sides should be equal, some angles should be equal, even sides are also equal. This is a parallelogram, right? Like this. So things become easy here to prove that these two triangles are similar to each other. Okay. Next, question number 34. Find the solution of the given pair of linear equations by graphical method. Here they have given two equations, x plus 2y is equal to 8 and x plus y is equal to 5. So here if you just put x is equal to 0, you will get some value of y. If you put y is equal to 0, you will get some value of x, right? So here you can make a table like this. Take another equation also, same thing you have to do. If you put x is equal to 0, then you will get y is equal to 5. If you get y is equal to 0, you will get x is equal to 5. Now these points you have to plot in a graph. If you plot in a graph, then these pair of linear equations will meet at a point. So that point, if you see the value in y-axis and in x-axis, that will give you x value and y value. Okay, this is your graphical method. You can solve linear equations easily like this. So here x is equal to 2 and y is equal to 3. Okay. If you have any doubt, you can use the elimination method, calculate value of x and y and then match it with the graphs also. Okay. Now these questions from question number 34, they are 4 marks questions. Usually they ask big questions like graph is there, then trigonometry, heights and distances questions also they will ask. Let us see what is the next question. They are asking a theorem here. Prove that if a line is drawn parallel to one side of a triangle to intersect the other two sides in distinct points, the other two sides are divided in the same ratio. So you have to prove that if a line is drawn parallel to one side of a triangle to intersect the other two sides in different points, then other two sides are divided in same ratio. This is actually known as basic proportionality theorem or Thales theorem. So this is the triangle where you have to do the construction, and then you can easily prove the points here. See, first you have to take a area of the two triangles ADE and BDE. So first these two triangles we have taking the ratio, and then we are writing their areas half into base into height. Okay, then we got the ratio as AD by BD. Okay, then in next term we have to take the ratio of another two triangles. This time what are the two triangles? ADE, this triangle, and DEC, this triangle. Like this. Take the ratio, again do their areas ratio half into base into height. You will get AE by AC. Now you have these 2 points, right? With this, this triangle and this triangle. If you see, the base is same here. This DE, the base is same, right? So if this base is same for these two, it means that this line and this line are parallel to each other. Now if there are two parallel lines and in between there are triangles, it means that the triangles inside those parallel lines are having same areas if they have common base. Now take this A and this B. We now know that the area of this triangle and this triangle are equal. And we already know that these two are same triangles only, right? ADE only, right? So the areas are equal here, so that's why we can clearly say that the left hand sides are same. That's why right hand side AD by DB is equal to AE by EC. Okay, here you have taken the left hand side, which is area of this is ratio of areas of triangles, and in the right hand side you have the proportionality thing, which now became equal. So that's why, because left hand side is same, right hand side will also be same, hence proved the basic proportionality theorem. Okay, clear, right? This is also for 4 marks. Anyway, in your competitive exam they will not ask prove that unless and until it is a descriptive part like in GPSTR. Okay, but they will ask questions based on these theorems, so you should be knowing everything. Next question. This is from mensuration. A solid consisting of a right circular cone of height 120 cm and radius 60 cm standing on a hemisphere of radius 60 cm is placed upright in a right circular cylinder full of water such that it touches the bottom as shown in this figure. If the radius of the cylinder is 60 cm and height is 180 cm, then find the volume of the water left in the cylinder in terms of pi. So in terms of pi you have to say the answer here. So what they are telling is that there is a solid which is having a right circular cone. They have given the height and the radius, and they are telling that it is standing on the hemisphere which is of a radius 60 cm. It is placed in a right circular cylinder which is having water, full of water, such that the water is touching the bottom. They have given the figure, so you don't need to worry about all that. You have to find the volume of the water left in the cylinder in terms of pi. So here they have given all the details of the cylinder, cone, hemisphere, everything, right? One thing we have to understand is that volume of water left in the cylinder will be equal to volume of cylinder minus, see, how much water is left here is the question, right? So the volume of water left in the cylinder will be equal to volume of full cylinder, this full cylinder volume, minus you have to remove this cone, you have to remove this hemisphere. If you remove the volume of this entire thing, then whatever the volume is present in the cylinder will be the volume of the water. That is the concept here. So the volume of water left in the cylinder will be equal to volume of cylinder minus volume of cone plus volume of hemisphere. What is volume of cylinder? Pi r square h. What is volume of cone? 1 by 3 pi r square h. What is volume of hemisphere? 2 by 3 pi r cube. All the details they have given in the question. You have to just substitute and without writing the value of pi as 22 by 7, as it is, you have to find the answer. Okay, take it as a homework. Let us know whether you are getting same answer or no. Okay. Next question. An arithmetic progression consists of 16 terms. The sum of all its terms is 768. If the last term of the progression is 93, then find the arithmetic progression. Also, show that the sum of all the terms of this progression is equal to 3 times the sum of first 16 odd natural numbers using formula. So this is a big question because it is a 4 marks question. They have given that n is equal to 16. So S16 also they have given 768. Then they have also given the last term which is 93. Now we know that Sn is equal to n by 2 into 2a plus n minus 1 into d, right? So with this I can easily write S16 is equal to 16 by 2 into 2a plus 16 minus 1 into d is equal to 768. With this I have 8 into 2a plus 15d is equal to 768, or 2a plus 15d is equal to 96. Let this one be 1. Now they are given another point that the last term is 93, right? So that's why a plus 15d will be equal to 93. This will be my last term because 16 terms are only there, correct? Now I have two equations, right? I can use elimination method. With this I will easily get a is equal to 3. If I get a is equal to 3, then what will be my d value? I will write 3 plus 15d is equal to 93, or 15d is equal to 90, or d I will get as 6, right? So I got a as 3 and d as 6. So what will be my arithmetic progression now? First term is 3, just now we have found. Then we have found that the common difference is 6. That's why next term will be 9. Then again if I add 6 to this 9, I will get 15. So this is my arithmetic progression now. Now the next part of the question is that we have to show that sum of the all terms of this progression is equal to 3 times the sum of first 16 odd natural numbers. So what we have to do now? We have to show that 768 is equal to 3 times sum of first 16 odd natural numbers, right? So this thing is equal to 3 into what are the first 16 odd natural numbers? Let me write few. 1, then 3, then 5 and so on till 16th, right? Up to 16th term. Now this also is a AP now, right? I can easily find out my 16th here, the sum by using our formula. It is n means 16 by 2 only, and again 2 into a is 1 plus 16 minus 1. What will be my d now? D will be 2, right? So this S16 will be equal to 8 into 2 plus 15 into 2 is 30. So this will give me 8 into 32 will be 256, right? Now I have to multiply 3 with this S16. Then I should get 768, right? So 3 into 256 will give me 768. Hence proved that this 768 is equal to the 3 times the sum of first 16 natural numbers. Okay, because this was a 4 mark question, they have asked 2 questions. This is a tough question and this is the most expected question also. Okay. Next, question number 38. This is a last question and this is a 5 marks question. It is a trigonometry question from heights and distances. A pole and a tower are standing vertically on a level ground. The height of the pole is 6 cm and the angle of elevation to the top of the pole from the bottom of the tower is 30 degree. The angle of elevation of the top of the tower from the top of the pole is 60 degree as shown in the figure. Find the height of the tower CD. Also find the distance AC between the top of the pole and the top of the tower. So here, if you have such big questions, you should not worry. Just to find out what is the question they are asking. The main question is, we have to find the height of the tower CD and then we have to find the distance AC between top of the pole and the top of the tower, right? So here we have to find AC and then we have to find CD. This is the question. Rest things they have given. So what you have to do is take triangle ABD. If you take triangle ABD, you will get angle 30 degrees there, right? So tan 30, that will be equal to opposite by adjacent, right? Opposite is 6 meters, that is AB. BD we don't know. We can easily find out because tan 30 is root 3, right? So 6 by BD. Because tan 30 is 1 by root 3, right? Here we have 6 by BD, right? So what will be my BD value now? Then it will become 6 root 3 meter, right? Now take triangle ACE. In that triangle also you take a tan of the angle. What is the angle they have given? 60 degree. See, usually the trick and tip related to heights and distances is that maximum times we are using tan theta in the solution, in the answer. Okay, maximum times, that is the rule here. Okay, it is not a said rule, but it is a trick. Okay, so tan 60 is equal to again opposite side CE by adjacent side AE. But that AE is equal to BD, right? Because they are the bases, they are like rectangles, right? So this value will be equal to this value, right? So now tan 60 will be root 3, right? So this is equal to CE. We don't know what it is. We have to find out. AE we now know because AE is equal to BD. So 6 root 3. So with this we get a CE value as a 6 into root 3 into root 3. So 6 into 3. So it will be 18 meters. Now what is the question? We have to find CD, right? What is CD? CD is equal to CE plus ED. CE we have now found is 18 meters and ED they have given in the question indirectly. AB is 6 meter, right? So ED will also be 6 meter, right? So this will be our answer, 24 meters. This is our CD. Now one question is done. What is another question? I have to find the hypotenuse AC. In order to find the hypotenuse AC, I have to take either sine or cos because in tan we will not have hypotenuse. So in triangle ACE, take a sine 60. Opposite by hypotenuse CE by AC. Sine 60 is equal to root 3 by 2. What is CE? Just now I have found 18 and this is my AC. So with this what will be my AC? AC will be 18 into 2 by root 3. Either you write AC is equal to 36 by root 3 or you write AC is equal to root 3 into root 3. This is 3, right? Then 3 6 into 2 by root 3. I can write 18 as root 3 into 6, right? Because 3 6 are 18, right? Just in order to cancel one root 3. So what will be my AC now? AC will now be 12 root 3. Okay. So one answer is 24 meters and another is 12 root 3 meters. Okay. Clear, right? So this finishes our SSLC maths question paper. So we have taken time to solve this question paper for you entirely in one short video so that you will not have to search for another video again. If you like this video, please click the like button and also give us your feedback in the comment section and share maximum among other aspirants and your friends so that if we get good response, we will solve more such question papers because TET is expected very soon. Maybe in 1 month you may get the notification. Okay. So we really hope that we helped you out with this question paper and we look forward to your response. Thank you. All the best. Bye.